Hello, I'm Kate from Bothy Threads, and today we're going to be looking at the basics of cross stitch. Before we start, it's important to have clean hands, a good light, preferably one with a daylight bulb, and a small pair of scissors with sharp points. Cross stitch is usually worked on a fabric called eider, and for the purposes of the video today, we're going to be using this eider with large blocks. You can see that there are holes at the corners of the blocks. In a Bothy Threads kit, the eider is a Zweigart fabric and comes as 14 or 16 count. The count is measured in holes per inch. This is the 14, and here the slightly finer 16 count eider. Usually there's no right or wrong side to the fabric, but sometimes a patterned fabric is used. For example, this vintage and this putty point. And in this case, the design is only on one side of the fabric, so it's important to stitch with this as the front. The fabrics in our kit has been carefully cut by hand along the grain to minimise fraying. And to be honest, I don't usually worry about the edge of my design, but some people like to use masking tape or to oversew along the edge of the design, which can be done on a machine or by hand to prevent fraying. Obviously, if there's a selvage, you don't need to worry at all. Some people like to work with the eider free, whereas other people like to use a frame of some type. You can use a hoop frame. Simply lay the fabric on one of the hoops and pop the other one over it, like so. Or, especially for a bigger piece, you might like to use a frame like this, a roll or scroll frame. You simply attach the eider to the top and the bottom rollers using large running stitches, working out from the centre one way and then the other way. When you have attached the eider to the top and bottom rollers, simply roll it to where you want to work and then tighten the wing nuts so the material is nice and taut. This eider has been attached correctly to the frame in that when you roll up the work, the completed stitching is protected and this area is underneath the rollers. However, be careful not to attach it incorrectly, for example like this one, where as the rollers are tightened, you'll see that the work is on top and is in danger of being damaged and rubbed here. Whatever type of frame you decide to use, if you decide to use one at all, just be careful to release the tension on the work when it's not in use. Also, when you're not working on a piece, please make sure that you put it somewhere safe. Either a clean bag or a pillowcase is ideal for the larger pieces. Threads used in a cross-stitch kit are stranded cottons. Some people call them silks or floss. They are pre-sorted on a card and the symbol here shows the colour to be used. You will usually find there's two sets of stitch diagrams in our kits. We have the complete set of stitch diagrams, which show the symbols used for the cross stitch and the lines for the back stitch. And then you'll find there's a background set which only show the symbols for the cross stitch. So for example here, the top heart has a Z symbol corresponding to the heart in the picture here, which you can see is in dark purple. And on the card you can see the Z here, the symbol for the dark purple thread. When you start your stitch, I recommend that you start in the centre of the design. In a small design, like this little sugar plum mouse, this can easily be found on the background stitch diagram by the arrows and or the dashed lines across the stitch diagram. On a larger design, the chart comes in several pages. You can either work from the separate sheets, or you may be happier to cut off one edge and to stick them all together with sellotape, preferably on the back. Either way, the arrows and dashed lines will show you the centre. For the purpose of the video, I've blown up this central area, and you can see that we're going to start here with the L symbol and work a row of 5 stitches. Then you'll need to find the centre of your eider. Often the material has already been folded into quarters. If not, simply fold it like this. And where the creases meet, you will start your stitching. So, this is our symbol L, and we're going to take one of the pre-cut lengths of stranded cotton to work with. Now, it is 6 stranded cotton, which means that each length of thread is made up of 6 smaller strands. To work your cross stitch, you're going to take just one of these strands. Just simply pull it out from the others. Now, you're going to fold the 2 cut ends together and thread your needle. The needle in a cross stitch kit is rather confusingly called a tapestry needle. This means it has a relatively large eye and blunt tip. The easiest way to thread the needle is to fold the thread over the eye and pinch between the thumb and forefinger. Then slide the eye of the needle over the thread. And you now have a loop at one end. I'm going to demonstrate the cross stitch on this larger block eider. Here I have my needle threaded and the loop at the other end. I simply come through from the back, take the stitch diagonally back through. Now, as I go back through, I'm going to go through that loop which anchors my first stitch in place. Then I simply make the other arm of the cross stitch and there's one full cross stitch. In fact, when we're filling a larger area with cross stitch, a better way of working is to work a row of the half cross stitches first. So for the heart we're working, we were wanting 5 stitches. So I shall work 5 half cross stitches. I'm working these with my right hand. And then I'll come back showing you can just do exactly the same with your left hand. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 half cross stitches, and now we will complete those. As you work through the eider, try to take the needle vertically down through the block and take it cleanly through the hole. Trying to keep the tension even, so don't pull the stitches too tightly. It doesn't really matter which way your first diagonal slopes, this way or that way, but it is important to make sure that they all lie the same way. So there's our row of 5. And referring back to our stitch diagram, we can see that underneath the row of 5 here, we have a row of 3 coming in 1 square each side. So move down here and make our 3 stitches, ensuring that the first diagonal lies the same way as the first diagonal in the earlier row. So 3 stitches, 2 with our right hand, and then again I'll come back with my left hand to complete those 3 stitches. On the 14 count eider, it would end up looking like this. We're just ready to complete the final stitch of the heart. When you've finished working an area, simply run the thread through the stitches on the back of the fabric. Cut off the ends close to the stitches. You might find it useful to use a highlighter pen to mark off the area that you've stitched. For example, our red heart there. You may not find this necessary, but if you finish off halfway through a row, it's a very good idea and helps you find your place much more quickly when you start working again. Just to look at some slight variations. Here, a slightly soft focus effect to the wallpaper is given by working the stripes simply in the half cross stitch. A similar effect is achieved on this design by working the main motif in cross stitch using 1 strand of stranded cotton folded double, but using cross stitch in 1 strand for a subtler background effect. This will usually be shown on the stitch diagram by the use of shaded symbols. So these are the symbols for the ordinary cross stitch in 2 strands and the shaded symbols for the work done using 1 strand. Thanks for watching. I hope you found the video useful. If you'd like to see any more in the series, please follow the link at www.bothythreads.com or our Facebook page. Happy stitching!